hope you're all well. I hope you're all going good. Happy fake New Year. As we know, the real New Year is the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, because they fooled you all. So what I wanted to talk about today was some couple of really interesting topics that have come up over the last several months. Mostly there's been quite a few issues around time shifts, seasonal shifts, and everyone is noticing it some way in their lives, and we are going through major shifts to get ready for a lot of changes that are coming. And as I said, previous lives and videos, 2026 is going to go really fast. In our group, the Rainbow Sisters, we do activations and meditations every week, connecting to different energies that are coming in, connecting to what needs to be done to help create the new earth and what is required to either change or to replace or to activate and upgrade. And a lot of the information we get throughout the year has been huge. We've done a lot of work. Sometimes we were doing 2 sessions a week. At the moment it's still only 1, but it is picking up and getting faster. And so I used to share a lot of this with you, but now what I'm doing is putting them up on YouTube. The lesson, not the meditation, and in the comments section I'm putting the activation that comes from that session and channelings, so that you can at least have the activations. Some of the activations are in my books, some of them aren't. It just depends on what I'm guided to do with them at the time. And so that was another thing I needed to update you, or item to update you with, the fact that we are actually putting them up on YouTube now, because it's easier to find and as a resource for later on when people need help. We've done recently What's in a Name, Reclaiming the Inner Child, and that's just the start of the year, and there's great stuff coming. We did this week the meat industry, and what's happening in the meat industry, which I'll give you a little insightfulness on, because that's horrendous. But I want to talk about these time changes. So what happened was that in the 1-1 gateway, I normally do an activation or some kind of session, and even over the Christmas holiday period I take at least 2 weeks off from doing anything and just being present and being in my space. And I was guided this year not to do anything. They said, no, you revisit a meditation or an activation that you didn't get enough from, or you want to find more information on, or something that you got a lot of information on and you want to get more. So I guided everyone to do that in the group. I said, well, go get a meditation that, or you missed out on it and you didn't do it and you really need to be doing it. So I said to everyone, well, if this is, you know, one of the ones that you want to do, let me know if you haven't got the recording and I'll send it to you. And so a lot of them redid self-discovery meditations about themselves, because we did a huge big, and we're still working on it, a self-discovery series. And so that was really important to continue doing over the break. And I said, well, why aren't we doing anything for the 1-1 gateway? And the message came through that we weren't to do anything due to the fact they were changing the time shift. So there was a huge big time shift in the beginning of January, and they moved us out by 3 months. We're actually being pushed forward into a March timeline, and that's why the seasons are feeling different. The seasons have changed a lot quicker, And I was just pointing out yesterday that my hanging flower baskets are dying and getting ready for autumn. And we're only in the early stages of summer, not even in the middle of summer yet. And that I'm going to have to redo those baskets in the coming weeks, because what's happening is that they are dying off. And I still want to have some flowers towards the end of the seasons. And it costs a lot of money to keep replanting and repotting as well. So that's how I know the seasons have changed. And looking back at memories from this time last year, it was really hot here. We had fans going, we had great big 6-foot tall sunflowers, we had lots of tomatoes growing, eggplants growing, zucchini growing, and it's not consistent, the food this year. We're getting specks and that of a few tomatoes here and a handful of beans here. Or I have to say though, on my eggplant, I do have about 3 or 4 eggplants sitting there growing. But even my neighbour Janet, she said to me, you know, like this time last year, it was different. I said, yeah, they've manipulated the season and they've manipulated the time. And you can be, you know, up and about and you realise, oh, it's 8 o'clock. And the next time throughout the day, you look at the clock and it says 2 o'clock, and you can't recall between 9 and 2 what happened, or between shorter periods of time, because it is just moving fast, very, very fast. And then on top of that, you have, okay, so it's got to 2 o'clock and you're absolutely amazed that it's 2 o'clock. It feels like it's only been, you know, 1 or 2 hours, when in fact, you know, it's been 5 hours. And then you look at the clock again and it's 5 o'clock at night, and you're thinking, what? It only feels like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. How did that happen so quickly? I can't even recall. Have I been outside in the sun for 3 hours or 4 hours? And, you know, we're sort of guessing and we're sort of questioning, and we're like, what's going on here? They are the little time shifts throughout the day and throughout the week. And it seems to be consistent. Every day is the same. It's just going faster and faster. And then, you know, I can be sitting here working and doing my journal work. And I feel like, oh, it's probably 9 o'clock at night. I should start really getting ready for bed. You know, I have my windows open, I have my blinds open, and I'm thinking it's getting dark out there, because we're in daylight. It's dark out there. It's daylight saving here, and I'm thinking it's dark for 9 o'clock. And then I look at the clock and it's actually 10 o'clock or 10:30 at night, and I'm going, how did that just happen? I'm not tired. And so these are the small visible signs that we're seeing that the time has been manipulated, and they're doing it every week, every day. But there was a huge big time shift at the beginning of the year, and things really sped up. Like from the 1st of January, next minute we're the 10th, 12th of January. How did that happen? That just went really quick, guys. So that's been happening. And with the weather in certain countries is being reversed back to the way it was in the very beginning of time. So snow is actually a man-made type of thing. It's a galactic, dark galactic, reptilian type of material. It's not real. And we're finding that out more and more now when people they collect the snow, they put it on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and they try to burn it, and it just sits there, it doesn't melt, it goes black. It's not real. The snow we're getting is not real. And initially, snow was created to cover things so that we would never really find the truth, like pyramids. So the seasons have been manipulated, and where it normally snows, they're rushing that up so that it seems like we're through the winter quickly, and now we're going back into the spring. And the same on this part of the world, they're whizzing through summer so that we're in autumn and it's going really, really quick, and early winter and then spring. And it just seems it's all been readjusted to the way it was meant to be, because in New Earth we will have weather consistently of like a spring day or a summer's day, but not extremely hot and not extremely cold. It'll be tropical, because you look at the Amazon, you look at parts of Africa, the hidden parts of Africa and Egypt, it's all tropical. And New Earth is tropical. Then you'll have the mist, the dew, and the rain at night to feed the plant life and to support the wildlife. And that's how it was always meant to be. Storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, everything is created. It's not real. And so this is what's been happening with weather and time. Even people that are not awake and are awakening, because the people are waking up very, very quickly now with reveals, and they're questioning everything. So it's happening a lot faster. So things are changing and people are noticing. And that is what we've been waiting for. Those changes to appear and to happen. So that's really what's been happening there. The other thing that we've got to be aware of too is the media is starting to reveal a lot more too. It's finally telling you the truth about a lot of things. A lot of things are still fake. It is a world stage. Central casting. Everyone's in central casting. I mean, how many Bidens did they have in the end? About 6 actors. So it's all central casting, as we know. And we hear it all the time. Central casting, you know. Something like so many 100,000 actors signed NDAs. Privacy documentation and secret documentation not to expose the truth right now, because we're seeing a movie being played out. But it is getting quicker. And we're noticing the NPCs more too. So they are the people that are in the background that have no souls. They are here to fill in the gaps. And New Earth is not going to be very populated. I mean, when you think about 70 to 80% of Earth's population are NPC or clones. And so the new Earth that we're going to see is probably only going to be a third of what the Earth population is. And so you're seeing a lot of people leave. You're seeing a lot of people pass away, and suddenly and peacefully. A lot of these are the NPCs. They can't stay here. They can't handle the frequency of the rising up, the ascension, and the consciousness that's coming in. You've also got a lot of the clones dying off. They don't last very long. I think they last about a year. They start to get a bit smelly, and they and if you look at, you know, this whole migration issue through all the big nations, UK, US, it's all been done by design. But a lot of those Somalians and Muslim people that are coming in and overpopulating and taking over these countries, it's all by design. And what they are mostly are clones and NPCs with very low intelligence level. And it's actually been shown on different social media platforms. Their intelligence level is at like 60%. There's not much there. That's why they have no soul. That's why they're aggressive. That's why they're violent. Most of them are clones or, as I say, NPCs with no soul. And they will all, you know, either have to be returned to where they came from, or they'll die off. And that's what they did in the Second World War. The German soldiers were all, most of them, were clones. A lot of the police forces around the world are clones, because it's to make it look like you've got an army. It's bigger than you think. So they just keep mass produced. It takes 9 months to grow a clone, something like that, or 9 weeks, and they just throw them out, more, and they can bring them in as adults. And so what they're trying to do is make people stand up and realise and fight for their freedom and fight for their countries, because you're not going to New Earth on a free ticket. You've got to fight for it. You've got to want it. And so this is all by design. Like all wars have been done by design. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the meat industry that we just did, the corrupt meat industry, and that was really, really interesting, people. I channeled Noah, and he spoke about, he talked about the way the meat industry works and how it has worked and how it's been manipulated, and he said the killing needs to stop now. No more killing, which is really interesting, of innocent animals and of humans, because they're actually killing humans to feed us. And so what they're doing is they are putting human meat and waste into the food chain. And they're feeding it to the animals, and then we eat the animals, so we're eating that waste. And then when the animal supply is low, we're eating ourselves. And he says the killing of innocent animals and humans, all waste is being placed into the food chain, creating cravings and addictions to the meat, creating cannibalism. And that's what they wanted us to be. Reptilian cannibals. Eating meat is a reptilian agenda. It's not natural. We are not meant to eat meat. Meat was created by the reptilians and the dark forces. It's actually not very good for the body at all. It sits in the body and rots and causes cancer. It does a lot of things. It's full of parasites. You eat what the animal's gone through before death. So the hurt, the pain, the fear, you're taking all that into your soul. And if you watch the video, The Dominion, it'll show you what those animals go through and how they do these horrific things to the animals for what Noah said is greed and gluttony, which is a sin. All animal hunting must stop, and the animals must all stop hunting each other. Now, this is something I find hard to live with, because I've got cats, and I've got a new one, and she keeps bringing in birds. She has killed, I think she's killed 2, and 1 has survived. And I can't deal with that. I don't like how animals hunt other animals. They weren't meant to hunt each other. They were supposed to live off the land. We were all meant to get along, be here together, working in harmony. Oh, excuse me, I've got shocking allergies, which shows you the seasons have changed. All large farming, corporate and government owned must stop. Mass killing, breeding must stop now. The farmers are suffering with their land because they are going against God's will by mass production and greed. Now, if you go back and look at the days of when the farmer used to have his house, his wife, and say 5 or 6 children, they had 1 or 2 cows, they had a goat, they probably had a couple of pigs and some chickens. They didn't have these mass-produced farms. This is big corporate greed and gluttony coming in. You lived in villages, you lived in towns where you had little, farmlets and enough to get by, and you swapped with the neighbours and the local people. You went down to the market and you swapped. You bartered. You didn't have mass production like it is today. And in that, to keep that mass production, they're putting viruses, they're putting antibiotics, they're putting hormones into these beautiful animals to create more mass, more growth. And so the farmers are suffering out of what they're doing is incorrect and wrong, and they have to learn this. This is their soul lesson. So the mass production is greed and gluttony, and that is a sin. It's damaging to the souls of all involved. You think of the corporate world, you think of the manufacturing, you think of every step of the truck drivers, the farmers, everything. They are part of it. Yes, you're going to say, oh, but they need to survive, they need to do that. You have choices. You have choices. It is now time to stand up and stop the painful killing of the beings and to be free to be one with earth as it was meant to have been in the beginning. We were all meant to be free, living freely of the earth. The circle of the meat chain. The animals are fed human waste. The animal is fed to the human, and when the animal demand runs low, the human is fed its own. And if you look at graveyards, since the 1970s, 80s, there have been no graveyards rebuilt. Where are they? Where are the bodies going? You know, you're only allowed to bury 3 in a grave plot. And you've got, in the US alone, 90 million people have died since the 80s. Where are those bodies going? You can't tell me they're all being cremated, because there's no crematoriums being built either. You don't see new crematoriums being built. And quite often now, you used to be able to, I remember in the day when, you know, someone passed away, the body got cremated and you picked it up within 2 or 3 days. Now you've got to wait 2 weeks because there is a demand for it. But what is happening is a lot of people don't pick up their loved one's ashes, or they don't get picked up, and they go into fertilizer. And you're putting that fertilizer on your crops and then back into the food chain. So I don't buy blood and bone. I don't buy any of those fertilizers. I use natural organic worm juice on my plants for that purpose, because I don't want to be eating Auntie Marge from down the road. I'm asking all light workers of the world now, this is Snowa, unite to make a stop to this way of life. I come to save the animals. It was the controls that took over and continued the sin that I could not stop. I now save all. And he's talking about the ones that are lost and sick and sad. I take them home to the love light of God's kingdom. To enter that kingdom, we must give up and create a new way of eating and creating education to the people, for their minds have been controlled too long. So it's about educating people now and letting them know and see what is right and what is wrong, and to understand meat is poison to us. It's a sin. It's so wrong. And people say to me, well, why don't you eat meat? I said, because I can feel the animal's soul. As an empath, I feel it. I feel what they went through. And as I said, if you go watch the video of the Dominion, but not only that, there's videos you can find on YouTube, on Instagram, and they put them in these metal locks, and you can see the cow has tears coming down his face. He knows he's about to receive a terrible death. And the pain, the fear, not understanding, why have I been taken off the paddock and put into this contraption, and you're going to die? And did it feel the hurt beforehand? You know, and the betrayal of the farmer. So you've got to think of all these things. You're taking all that energy from that slice of steak on your plate and putting it into your soul. We must reverse what has happened to the animal kingdom and to our fellow beings, abuse in all forms of God beings. It is now time to take back what was meant to be. We are here to live in peace, harmony, to respect every species and to love one another, not kill and eat. Plants are the source of food. Water is the source of liquid for the body. And then he talked about the deep ocean fish. And in the Bible, they eat fish, but only deep ocean fish. Don't ever eat fish that lives on the bottom of the ocean, that crawls along, cleans the floor bed, because they're just a form of worm. Prawns and shrimp are a form of a worm. They're a parasite. So he talks about the deep ocean fish. And he says they are the only meat form to be eaten, and to understand they bring codes for the diamond crystalline body. And if you look at, most of the scales are a diamond under the microscope, not visible to the eye. The shape of the scales. And then he gave me an activation. If you want that, I'll send it to you. So I went to meet with Noah, and went back to the ark where he was saving the animals, and it was cloaked. The ark was cloaked. It was on the outside an old ship, like an old sailing ship. But it was dimensional, and I had another lady in the group tell me she saw the same thing, that it was dimensional, that it was actually a ship, and it had medbed technology in it. It had beautiful habitats set up for every individual species to live in and be safe while they travelled. And so it's the same technology they use on the cloaked ships that hide in the clouds. They did that with the ark. The surroundings were just beautiful inside there, and I got a tour, and I was told, take a look around, see what you think, see how you feel. It was just beautiful. There were trees, there were plants, there were many other beings. He had many people on there caring for the animals and that, because they took a very long journey. So we had to reverse all that. And I told the animals there, you're free now, no more slaughter. And one of the things I got told was our tongues are the biggest weapon. The words that we speak can hurt and cut deep, but the taste on our tongue is a weapon. We can self-sabotage ourselves with addictions and tastes, like the taste for meat. And our tongues are changing as our crystalline bodies are changing, so are our tongues, so that we don't have those tastes anymore. And in the activation, there is actually an area where it says we ask for all that to be taken away, so that people will not feel they need to eat or want meat. While I was there, it was really interesting, because a rhino came up to me, and he had the big horn, and he said to me, sort of like, thank you kind of thing, because I could tell that they were safe now. They've been hunted for so long for their horn and for Chinese medicine and things like that. And they cut the horn off and they leave the body there and the animal to die. And the elephants came up and they were putting their husks up around my neck, because they too have been hunted and left to die for their husks. And then it's been used in things like Chinese medicine and things like that. They were also happy and playful on the ship. But what happened was, while they were out at sea, there was a time shift. Again, manipulation from the dark. And they were sabotaged. And when Noah got to his destination, like Gallipoli, and the soldiers had no chance at all, the enemy were there and shot them all. Same thing happened to the animals as Noah let them off the ark. They were slaughtered. And that's what changed the industry and the world and the energy on earth to start eating meat. They wanted us to be cannibals and eat meat and ourselves. And you know, this is really interesting information. You only get it in those dimensions when you're meditating. I was also told about the damage to the Amazon, and it broke me. It really broke me. I was beside myself with pain, knowing that something like 9 million, or was it 90 million acres has been stripped of the Amazon. All that wildlife, all those beautiful animals, plant life, trees, everything has been destroyed and raped. And so I asked, I said, what's going to happen to the Amazon? And they said, well, with new earth forming, it's going to be all reversed and healed. And then they showed me these big ships coming over, and they were dropping seed. And that's something else that I was told. All the plants that were once there have been saved, and the seeds. And they're coming back. And in New Earth, you're going to see a lot of new plants coming back, because they've been saved and hidden. A lot of them have been hidden in the Middle Earth, and super soldiers have been going down and bringing them back and using them, getting them ready for New Earth, getting them started. And what they were doing were dropping these seeds down, the good galactics, and I saw paddocks, absolute massive amount of paddocks of sunflowers going up. These sunflowers weren't just your normal 6 foot high, you know, miniature sunflowers. They were tall, like skyscrapers, and the flowers were enough to feed a tribe. So it was amazing what is coming, guys. So that was the corrupt meat industry. But I also want to share something with you, and I'm hoping to do a book review soon with Johanna, one of my subscribers. And she's put this beautiful book together, and it's called Rescue Tales, as in tales. And all proceeds from the sale of this book will go to Hilltop Sanctuary, which is a sanctuary, animal sanctuary. So she's produced this herself, written, produced it, and had it created off her own back and her own finances and her own time. And as a writer myself, I'm in the middle of my 4th book. I know how much time it takes, especially if you're having IT trouble, which she did have during the process of it. So I will link her details for you to purchase this, because it goes to animal rescue. Actually, you can donate through PayPal too. But there's a whole lot of channeled messages. There's stories from all around the world, from the US, from Australia, from New Zealand. I submitted my story. I only got it yesterday. I'm so thrilled to have it too. It's such a beautiful book. Double Surprise by Ameria, New Zealand. But the story is based from when I was living in Australia. And it's about the 2 possums that came and made a nest on my balcony. And there they are there. I sent her the picture and she's included it. So I'll hopefully be doing a book review on this. But if you do want a copy, I will put the details there for you. It's just such a beautiful, amazing book. And I mean, it's not a thick book, but it's a good one. You could, if you've got grandchildren, you can take these stories to school. You can use them in family time, that kind of thing. It's just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. And the cover is just beautiful, with the horse, the girl, the maiden with her horses, rescuing them. So yeah, so everything that I've covered off today, the weather, the time manipulation, the work that I'm doing and putting on YouTube, that particular book, the meat industry, there is just so much happening at the moment that we've got to keep sharing the good information, the true, I call this true news, true information. And you know it comes from a higher source. It's not from the media. But there's so much more coming, you know, and this is something we've got to look forward to. So I wanted to jump on and give you all a big update on what's going on, because I know you're all feeling it. And as I said, my allergies should not be here in the middle of summer. So the seasons have changed, the time has changed. And we're going to lose a lot of people this year. We're going to lose a lot of close people, as I said. So be prepared, and be prepared to offer services of healing, and be ready for your purpose and why you're here. Because that's another big thing that's happening this year. The population is fading, and we've been saying it since that, but it's going to be more visual. You're going to see it, and you go out there, and I've been noticing it a lot because I live in a smaller town. There's less people around, and yes, it's school holidays and summer holidays, but most people are back at work now, and there should be more people around, and there's not. There's hardly anyone around. It's very quiet. People are disappearing and going quickly. So as a warning, you know, just be prepared. Don't get a shock. Yes, it is always a shock, but, you know, we've got to expect this. We're going into a new earth, and it's less population. And so be ready with all your healing resources. As I said, there's plenty there on my YouTube channel, because that's what it is. It's not for grand ego tripping 2,000-3,000 people who I don't even know who you are. It's for a resource for you to be helped. And I got a comment one day, and it was really weird in our group, and it was, you're never going to be famous with your books. And I thought, what a weird backslack comment to make. I'm not doing this service and this work to be famous and to be liked. I'm here on my purpose and on my mission. It's not about being seen. It's not about being heard. It's not about ego. It's not about being famous. I do not wish famous on anybody, because you're inviting the dark in. As soon as you start to get known, you're inviting dark in. You're exposing yourself. If you use a lot of, you know, tools like AI and that, and you're on the internet constantly, and you're just opening it up and paying $10 for a short to be promoted, and it goes all the way out to everyone on YouTube, you're inviting dark in, and you're getting hijacked. And I'm noticing it in a lot of people, especially the light community. They don't realize the damage and what they're exposing themselves to. People that know me personally and work with me every day know that I do not have an ego. And I'm not doing this to be famous. This is my passion, my purpose for New Earth to be created for generations to come. And it's the warrior within me is saying, I want to put everything right. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of being treated this way and everyone before us. I'm standing up for what is meant to be our new earth, and how it was always meant to be from the beginning. So that's it for me today. I thought, oh, come on, it's another year, and I haven't been on for ages, and I'll do a live and say hi to everyone and give you some more information to take away and work with. If there's any of the activations or anything that you haven't received or you want, do let me know. And as I said, come April, we're having a New Zealand retreat here. Got about 8 or 9 people coming, 4 from Australia. I'm not sure about the US yet. And we're going to be going to the South Island of New Zealand, and we're doing a lot of New Earth activations, diamond crystalline activations, a lot of self-discovery, foraging, grid work, that kind of thing. It's going to be beautiful, people. So I'm hoping to have that 4th book out and ready for the retreat. So I'm not ordering as many as I normally do. So it's going to be very limited supply. So if you want a copy of that book, do let me know pretty early on. Message me or email me. truthofthematter2020@gmail.com, because then I've got an idea of how many to order. All right, do take care. Much love to you all. Thank you for joining me today, and I will be back in some time to give you more updates. Okay, take care. Bye all.